we got a lot of content to get into today. Let's go into Caleb Williams. Best and worst case scenarios for Caleb Williams rookie year. This is just Bears fans' expectations. We are fans as well, so these are our expectations. His best case scenario and then his worst case scenario. Then we're just gonna talk about how we came up with those numbers in terms of yards, interceptions, touchdowns, and whatever else you wanted to throw in there. Anybody want to kick it off, or I could just go ahead and kick it off?
I mean, you can start. I got. Like I said, I got it. I'm ready for this.
Go ahead and because I got these chats. I'm gonna monitor this chat real quick. Wes, go ahead and kick it off.
All right,
for us, please.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you my worst and then best prediction. I'm gonna tell you how I figured it out. I was like you said, best case scenario, and I'm gonna be very accurate with this because I measure my food. I season my food precisely.
The chef
3,744 yards.
That's best case scenario.
Best case scenario for me. 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, about 35 attempts per game, average passing. And I'm not even bringing in the rushing. I think he's going to have more overall touchdowns too. I'm not even bringing running or rushing on top of that. I think he'll probably in his best case scenario he'll end his season with 50 plus total touchdowns.
Holy sheesh. Just go ahead and run through those numbers again from the beginning, just so we got
him at
here. Yep.
3,744 passing yards. Like I said, these are going to be passing fast. 30
throwing touchdowns per game. 30. Or do you got the per game numbers?
What? Touchdowns?
You said 3,700 yards. You got the per game numbers for that?
No, I didn't go down per game. I just kind of went overall average, and I'll tell you why I went overall average when I get into how I got to these numbers.
My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
6 interceptions. No, you good. Like I said, 6 interceptions, and the reason I said averaging 35 attempts per game is because I have a formula on why I came up with this one. And worst case scenario, let me just jump into my worst real quick. I got him at about 1,900 worst. Close to 2,000. I put 1,900. 27 touchdowns still. About 9 interceptions. And I brought his attempts down to, that's 25, averaging about 25 attempts because they want to, he's doing something that they're not liking as a rookie. And you know how to kind of like tailor the game down based on how he's developing. And let's just say he's not really getting that. They will start pulling the game away from him. We do have a good running back core as well that I think that they can lean on, as well as our defense will be giving us shorter fields, hopefully, which our run game can maximize that too. We don't have to drive so far down the field. But if he's, like I said, if he's doing stuff they're not liking, I can see them kind of taking the game a little bit away from him and going on that. So those are my best and worst case. Like that's worst.
Can you just run through the worst numbers again?
1,900 total yards, 25 touchdowns, about 9 interceptions, and that's on roughly 25 attempts per game. Like I said, if they tailoring that back from him after a few week 6, week 7, he's just not looking like he's getting it, and they want to kind of bubble screen him to death or whatever, you know.
Did you say 1,900 yards?
Yeah, 1,900 yards.
Ooh, so yo 3,700 yards got him at 217 per game. I think that's definitely manageable, especially for what I got. And then you say your worst was 19.
Yes, and like I said, I bring that if he's not doing good at all. You said worst, you said worst. Yeah. Worst case scenario at the end of the season. This is what he would be at because he had a terrible season.
That is worse. That's worse than Justin.
That's worse than Justin. That's what I'm saying. But the thing is, I think they would pull more. Like I said, we have a way better run game. We got a better defense. Like I said, I think we can shorten those games down as far as scores.
Right.
With the defense, and we can run with Swift and with Johnson and Herbert. Like I think, like I said, if the offensive line is at least 30% better, 40% better than it was last year, I think we can still do damage on the ground as well. So, and like I said, that's his worst. They pretty much taking him out of the game without taking him out the game. That's his worst case scenario.
The yardage total on your worst case scenario is very low, but you got his touchdowns 25-9, right? 25.
Yeah, yeah,
So it sounds like he's gonna be pretty good in that category. Is throwing
yeah.
some red
Because
zone touchdowns,
yeah, I'm just saying shorter fields defense.
shorter. Yeah,
Yeah, shorter fields defense. I'm thinking play action in the red zone, throw a screen touchdown to Swift, up the middle to one of the tight ends. A 7-yard touchdown is a touchdown. It's not a lot of
all right.
yards,
We
but
got a comment on yo numbers, and this is what I like. If y'all hear some numbers,
mhm.
y'all hear a take, put it in the comment, and we're gonna talk about it. Let's go back and forth on it. Alex Silva said, I think he'll do better than 1900, bro. I say 2700 at worst and over 3000 at best, 20 plus passing touchdowns. And like you said, Wes, the 1900 yards will be basically because he between the 2020 between the 20s, he's not that great. But once he gets to that red zone, he can throw the touchdown passes.
Right.
That's what it sounds like because we'll be using the run game a lot more.
Yeah, and like I said,
That
if he goes straight rookie, like doesn't really, the game doesn't come as fast as we expect it to him. Like, let's just put it out there. If you want to call him a bust, that's his bust stats.
that's his
That's
bust.
what,
That yeah.
that's bust
Okay.
stats. For me.
I agree. I agree. Those are bust stats, but those touchdowns to interception ratio, that's pretty good for
I think he's still smart though. I think he's still a smart player. Don't
a
get me wrong.
smart
I'm
player.
not going to take his IQ away. He's going to throw the ball away way more than Justin probably did, and he's probably going to go down to the ground. Like he said, he don't like running, so we could probably
He did
expect.
say
I,
that.
I, I ain't gonna put up sacks if in the worst case scenario either. I'm just saying, like he's still gonna. Like I said, I don't see him as a very interception heavy rookie in
Right.
any form of it.
If you just tuning in to the BlackBear podcast, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, the BlackBear podcast, one word, no spaces. We are on the best and worst case scenarios for Caleb Williams rookie year. Before we move on, I want to get this long chat up here real quick. Jeremy Rodriguez again. He said former NFL QBs have said themselves that after watching Williams deep on tape, he's been hyped up further than he should. They've said he performed spectacularly against the poor teams that he should beat and looked good, and then was okay to mid against the better teams. That coupled with his attitude and mentality equal a very high risk for any team, let alone ours, with subpar coaching and shaky leadership from ownership down. That is, I put it up there. We don't got to elaborate too much on it, but that's a strong statement. And anytime you put a comment like that with that many words, I'm gonna read it because it
Right.
it warrants. He got some merit there. Shaky leadership from ownership down. I mean, it's always been shaky, and we already talked about how the Eberflus decision to keep him was very shaky at best. Devin, best worst case scenarios for this young man, Caleb Williams.
So, even though it's not necessarily a quarterback stat, I have been affirmative on that stance the entire time. A lot of people tend to put wins and losses as a quarterback stat. So I decided to put down that record wise, I'd like to see at least 11 to 13 wins because you can have a lot of yards, you can put up decent numbers, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the wins, you get labeled as a bust.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was saying in the best case scenario, I would hope to have 11 to 13 wins, show us something that we haven't had for a while.
This is best
And
case
that would
scenario,
be,
right?
yeah, sorry, that's what I meant to say.
You know, you're good. You're good.
And like show us something that we've been craving for a while, something that we
Mm-hmm.
were hoping for a while, whether it didn't happen because of other positions not being able to play the way that they should be or not being up to that standard to get that number of wins, whatever the case may be. I want to see some shootout games too. I want
Oh
to
my
see
God,
us
me too.
going
I,
going up at like 40 points, 45, stuff like that in multiple games. Like we haven't had that. Like as exciting as Justin Fields was to watch, there haven't been very many like high scoring games like consecutively over and over again.
right.
And like I think one of the highest scoring games from this past year was the game in Washington on Thursday Night Football. I think that was a great game, but like it had a lot of offense on both sides. I mean, more so on the Bears, but so I was focusing on wanting that come into the team like based on the type of team that he's walking into. I do
Right.
feel like he is set up more for success. So I don't think it would be bad to expect 11 to 13 wins next year.
Okay.
And very few people in that number one pick have walked into this type of scenario,
That is
because
true.
most of the time when you're landing the number one pick, it's because your team sucked the year before. And as many problems as we had last year, I wouldn't say that we sucked the year before, just because our conference actually played pretty decently to the point where we ended up last with a record that might have been like second in most other divisions out there. So I
This
felt
past
like
season,
Yeah, I mean, I think
maybe not second, but
we was
we
definitely
had
not
7 wins.
last in a lot.
we had
We
7
wouldn't have.
wins. It was
Yeah.
what 2 or 3
Seven wins
games.
compared to the three before didn't really
Right.
seem like it was like considered terrible. So
Right.
that's how I felt like that.
It's
And
because
stat wise, I did feel like I wanted to see. So this is best case scenario. He comes out and balls out like he exactly like he was in
Let's
college.
hear the
I was
numbers.
hoping to
What you
see
got?
3.5 to 4,000, somewhere in that range. I'm not gonna like dial in specifically
Right.
because it's just too hard to dial in like that.
So,
But
so
we have
your
two.
3,500 has him at 205 yards per game, which is doable. It's doable. That's not
It's very doable,
300 or
but
nothing like that.
I'm aiming for more the 40,000 or 4,000, because his number of yards at USC were pretty high. So I'd be hoping he's closer to that 4,000. But if he's anywhere in that range, I feel like he succeeded and that's a really good scenario to be in. And touchdowns, I wasn't really paying much attention because we do have a lot of we have a good run game that when they run the ball in, they they would take touchdowns away. So
Yeah.
I would think that anywhere from like 25 up would be pretty decent, knowing that our run game would be pretty solid. But we also have some really good wide receivers that get a lot of yards after the catch. So that number could just go up. And interceptions, I would put them at about like best case scenario, I would put him at like 5 or 6, just because of the fact that you look over
Woo!
like the past 3 years, he hasn't thrown very many interceptions.
5 was
The
his
most
max.
he threw like in one season was 5, right?
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah, 5.
last year 5, and 3 of them were in that game against Notre Dame. It's
Them, them,
crazy to think
them
that he
Irish boys.
just doesn't throw interceptions. And real quick on that Notre Dame part, how interesting would it be if the Bears just so happened to pick up Joe Alt at 9, and so the guy that was on the team that gave him his worst game of the last year is now defending his ass on the offensive line? That would be pretty interesting, I think.
That would be funny. But that's just how it goes. That's how it goes. A lot of the time, these dudes have sacked these quarterbacks that are now on their team. They sacked them in college at one point and
Mm-hmm.
maybe talked a little shit
It
to them.
happens.
Yeah, yeah. So, was that that was your best, right? You just gave us your
Yeah.
best. Let's talk. Let's hear your worst case scenario.
Okay. Worst case scenario might be a little rough because there's just
Hey, Wes came
I'm
out here with 1,900 yards. I don't know how much worse it could get than that.
I mean, worst case scenario is I'm thinking like he could get like maybe 2,000 at most, but not as many touchdowns. Like Wes said, if he's not producing the way that they want him to, they may have to retool the offense a little bit, focus more on the running game. So throw in the fact that if he's struggling so much that they have to retool the offense, I'm thinking he's got like 12 to 15 interceptions, maybe even a couple of fumbles or something like that, because something that they have to retool the offense for. It wouldn't be from the offensive line, because like I know we have issues with our offensive line sometimes, but if we retool the offense to be more of a running attack, then it's not the offensive line.
Right.
They're making the holes that they're able to. So it could be like people talk about his quickness getting the ball off. I haven't seen that, but I hear a lot of people talk about it. So if it gets even harder for him when it gets to the NFL, there's always that possibility that he ends up getting a lot of sacks, getting some fumbles. I would say worst case scenario, about 2,000 yards with about anywhere from 12 to 15 interceptions.
So 2,000 yards. That's that you might as well say 1,900. Like
That's what I'm gonna say. It's kind of what I was at. I'm like, I know you want to dog me for going that low, but I'm gonna tell you
I wasn't trying to. That's literally just what I was thinking.
No, it's all good. Look, and this is why I wanted to do this, because it's interesting to hear what other people's opinions are. You said 2,000. That's 117 yards a game. Justin was doing that. Like Justin isn't known to be this crazy passer, but he was giving us 190, 195. You know what I mean? So that is bust territory at yards.
for him,
Yards
for Caleb.
for Caleb.
For what we're saying Caleb is. Like, let's just understand.
Different situations for different people, I think.
Right. Different strokes.
Whoa. Yeah, based on where you're picked. But once you're picked and you're in this country club that we call the NFL, everybody's expectations are the same. Good. When you talk about good, bad, and average, there is no he's good because he was drafted 5th round. No, there's none of that. I don't want to hear that. If you're drafted and you get into this country club, either you're good, you're average, or you're not. You know, Wes, what's up? Talk to me.
Come on, that's it doesn't sound like you walking things back. It's like, no, y'all saying he's a generational talent. This is what yes, it does. It doesn't when you get into it's not everybody's on the same level. Not everybody's expected to do the same things. Not you didn't expect Joe Flacco to get off the couch last season and take the Browns. So, like you know what I mean? Like, so don't say just because you're a quarterback, a starting quarterback in the NFL, we expect you to throw 3,000 yards. That's probably not the plan.
That's expectations. But
even the expectation, like we might not. We just might need somebody just to get in here and hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. We just might need somebody to get it. So
who need that?
I'm just saying. You said the country club. We're talking about the whole country club here. Right. Every team don't need a 4,000 yard passer.
I disagree with that. I think every team needs one of those. If you don't have one of those, you're probably not winning the Super Bowl. It's that simple. Just think about it. Brock Purdy. We just talked about Brock Purdy was dropped. Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts were dropped into great teams, right? They still lost to who? That 4,000 yard passer in Kansas City. You know what I mean? You can have a great team. You can drop these quarterbacks into these great teams. But let's think about who winning Super Bowls. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, and they ain't, you know what I mean? Who's winning Super Bowls? Tell me, other than what non-superstar quarterback is winning Super Bowls? Because we're talking about Super Bowls, really, not just winning 10 games. We ultimately want to win Super Bowls.
But you just said that you don't have to. You just proved you don't have to win Super Bowls. You don't have to.
You don't have
That's
to.
What I'm saying. You don't have to throw for 4,000 yards. You can build a structured team around a balanced game that your quarterback doesn't have to really throw that many. That's what I'm saying. As far as the NFL go, as far as quarterback, as far as teams go, all 32, we don't have to, because if that was like I said, if that was the case, then I mean, once you get a quarterback with 4,000 that can throw 4,000 yards, the rest of the teams might as well just wait and just not do nothing and just tank every year and say, hey, they got the 4,000. Hey, look, he's throwing 4,500 yards a year. God. We have to wait. We have to wait 3 more years until we get somebody that we know. You know what I mean?
You can get one. Like I said, Nick Foles got one with the Eagles.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But with that mindset, for me, you said like man, you look at your situation and it's like, so we might as well wait. Who's coming up? Who's kids in high school right now? He looks good.
No, no, no,
I'm
no,
gonna
no,
wait
no.
4 years for him to come out because
If
I know
you
he's gonna
don't
go
have the
4,000.
4,000-yard passer, I think you need to continue to take swings until you get. That's what I mean. Like, yeah, you got to be okay with your Jared Goff, or Jared Goff is a 4,000-yard. But see,
That doesn't right. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't always mean
we really talking about, when we say 4,000, we're talking about elite passers. That's really the word we want to use. We're talking about elite passers. You need an elite passer. That's what I'm saying. You can't
right.
yeah, you can win
You can
games
be an
with a
elite
Jalen
passer
Hurts.
without throwing 4,000 yards though.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yes.
Okay, I
That's
can
why I
agree to that.
said
Yes.
elite. That's why I said elite instead of putting a number on it, because
Right.
circumstances contribute to numbers.
Right.
But elite, ain't no doubt. You could throw Patrick Mahomes could throw 3,000 yards next year, and we all gonna still say he elite. You know what I mean? So I think you do need that elite quarterback. That's just my opinion. Yes, you can win 10, 12 games with your Brock Purdy, with your Jalen Hurts. But what happened when they went up against the man, Patrick Mahomes? You know what I mean? Even Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady. What happened? Like, you do need that guy. Look, okay, so say we get a two teams with average quarterbacks. That's different. But if on the other side you got a dog over there, it's not a good chance you're gonna beat that dog, no matter what your defense and your team looks like. If your quarterback is average, that's just my opinion. That's just the way I
Right.
look at it. I want the dog, you know. But yeah, I don't know where we just I don't know.
Wait,
Hey, Wes,
look, and I'll tell you, look, and I wanted to put out how I got my number. So I really wanted to be accurate with it. So I went on what was like
oh yeah,
PFF.com,
yep.
went on there and I asked and I searched and I looked around, I ended up at there, and I just asked, what is the average transition from a college quarterback to the NFL? And basically they gave me a few things about breakdowns of how many pressures, how many dropbacks, how many play actions, all that, and they averaged that the average college quarterback coming in will get about 60% completion rate
Right,
roughly a game, with of roughly about 7 yards per pass.
right.
That's pretty good. There's a lot of players out there that, I mean, they borderline. I mean, it's dude. And
I
that's
do want more than 60%.
of course I want to. But then, like I said, and I just based Caleb's off of that, and I based it off those 5 games last year towards the end. And I looked at it, and most of those games he threw about 65, 70% of the completion rate, which I think he's gonna do better in the NFL and all that kind of stuff. And that's why I'm just like, I'm just gonna put him in this. And that's why I said earlier, Caleb's ceiling is way higher than his floor. Like that's his floor. And my best case scenario, a lot of those
I
stats is
like that. I like
it's
that.
his floor. It's really around his floor. Like I said, my worst case is if he just go out there and surprisingly does absolute like just can't get the game because some players can't.
Yeah.
Fair to
Yep.
acclimate, right? Fair to acclimate. Can't get
Yes,
it.
sir.
Can't get it. We thought he did, man, but he just can't get it.
Hey, do y'all see? I love the back and forth that's going on in the chat
Oh,
right
Alex
now.
and Jay, Alex and Jay was
Yeah.
going in, man. We don't need to separate him. You know how to separate? Oh,
But
get
I
in
love
here.
that we can come on here and we can spark that type of debate. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? A
yeah, I
healthy
hear him. I want to
conversation.
pop on all that. Look, they can. I think they need a screen. They need a block.
They need to be right
Yeah,
there on the little
right there.
corners.
Put them in one of the corners, man. Let them go. And yeah, but like I said, I expect big things for Caleb. I really do. And the one thing I did want to point out, I'm kind of happy he had his Heisman season the year before instead of coming
Yes.
off Heisman season. I
Yes.
wanted to throw
I'm
that out there.
glad you said that.
I wanted, and I looked at it, and I was looking into it. Like I said, I've been trying to, do my due diligence because
Right.
on Caleb because I want him to do great. I mean, if we're gonna get him, that's what I want. And I looked at
Put the
those,
jersey in the camera.
huh?
That's it. Put the jersey in the camera.
Because if you took this away from me, you took it away. So I'm trying my best.
That's a nice ass jersey, bro.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best find something to love about.
Right. For sure.
Period. Period. Like I'm like I said, at this point, Bajan is the number one quarterback right now, and I'm
For
gonna root for
sure.
him if he's out there, you know. But what I did like, which Caleb probably get mad, I said I liked his last 5 games when he went like 1-4 against those ranked teams, because he still threw 65-70% of his passes. I mean, other than like I said, that Notre Dame game where it was like the interception heavy game. Other than that, and I watched a lot of the highlights and I watched some quarters. I tried to find like sections of the game, and he was still playing like a 0-0, you know. Like I was watching, like he's playing like a 0. He's getting smashed. He's getting
Hmm.
like he's out there, but I could see it. He still had that feel of you still playing 0-0, and I'm like, just transfer that over. You like I said, if you put that and like you said, Mark, into this country club, and you
Hmm.
play like that, I get one of these for you.
Hey, that's
You
a
know,
nice
I get
dress
one.
jersey.
I get
I
I get
honestly,
one.
I'm upset. I didn't get a jersey. I'm pretty sure I can get a cheap one right now. He's not with the team, so people probably trying to get their inventory out.
Yeah.
So they, but I think I'm gonna go get me a Fields jersey just to have it because he was
I,
the most beloved quarterback we've ever had, and even
Probably.
including Jim McMahon.
Yeah. I
Um,
got a list of those guys too. We what the top. We
Phantom. I'm definitely gonna. I'm gonna get you on here because you're definitely a passionate Bears fan. And I think that would make for
You are worthy. You are worthy.
I definitely would. I
Exactly.
think
You
it'll
are definitely
spark
worthy, Jay.
some crazy debate. You and Alex are going crazy in the chat right now. I appreciate y'all both. If y'all tuning into the Black Bear podcast, hit that like button, subscribe button. Black Bear Podcast, one word, no spaces, on YouTube and Facebook. We are on best and worst case scenarios for Caleb Williams. And now it's my turn. Um
I'm interested to hear this. You were very upset about our worst case scenarios, so I'm very interested to hear yours.
the,
I
I,
think I think
the, the worst case scenarios was the yardage was just insane because I watched Justin do that in his sleep, and he wasn't even a great passer. So that's bust. I don't think Caleb gives bust at all. And I'm about to tell y'all why. Worst case scenario,
okay.
3,000 yards passing. That comes out to listen, look, 3,000 yards passing in a 17 game season, that comes out to 176 yards per game. Like I said, Justin did that 195 for us. Worst case scenario, I think he can get us 176 a game. I think he'll have worst case scenario 14 touchdowns, which comes out to about 0.8 per game. You know, when you get into numbers,
Yeah, I gave him
no full.
something like that.
Say that again.
I gave him like 1.26 when I was doing my math, but yeah, I didn't. I just couldn't see him not throwing a touchdown. Period.
Yeah, so you put it up to one. I
At least
feel
one.
that.
I gave him the over, but I feel
14 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. This is my worst case scenario. Yes. And this is how I got those numbers. Well, I'm not done. That's almost one pick a game. Almost, not quite, almost about 0.9.
Mm-hmm.
And I based this on Trevor Lawrence rookie year. I based it on Trevor Lawrence's rookie year. Trevor Lawrence, damn, I should have had it. I should have had it ready, and I don't, but I can get that. Trevor Lawrence rookie year, and I looked at a lot of guys rookie years. Russell Wilson's, Sam Bradford, fucking you name it. I looked at a lot.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence rookie year was 3,600 yards, 12 passing touchdowns, and 17 interceptions. The yards were there, and this is what so he had 3,600 yards, but his touchdowns and interceptions were terrible, and that's because I'm saying the Bears are gonna let this kid throw the ball. He's gonna be able to throw the ball to get 3,000 yards, even if they see that he's not somehow like, oh, he's not understanding this, or he's not gonna be the guy. They still gonna give him opportunities to throw that ball. So I think he's gonna hit 3,000 on a worst case scenario basis. Trevor Lawrence had 3,600, 12 touchdowns, and 17 interceptions in his rookie year. And I think Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback in his league now. So that's how I got my worst case scenarios. About point 0.8 touchdowns a game and about one pick a game. Let's just say one pick. I'll let y'all comment on that before I get to my best case scenario.
So
If y'all got a comment on it, if
I
not,
did have something. I was thinking about it, and you said, like, I guess when I was looking at it, and it might be the same way Wes was feeling about it, that like they didn't let him throw. There were definitely games this year that I felt like they didn't let Justin go out there and sling the ball, and
for sure
there
he threw
were
the ball. Go
there
ahead, go
were
ahead, go ahead.
definitely games like the game against Minnesota where we threw like 20 something screen passes. That's that's indicative of a
Yeah,
offensive coordinator or head coach who may not necessarily trust his quarterback to throw it downfield. Now, I guess part of what I was doing was kind of thinking about it in that old mentality.
yeah,
Now, I guess I wasn't putting into perspective the fact that we have the new offensive coordinator. He's coming in. He gets to kind of mold Caleb the way that he wants him to. And so by doing that, you really do get an opportunity to be like, okay, well, he may not necessarily be getting it, but just throw the ball, just try and do something with it, play your game. Maybe they have that, maybe they
and
might be able to have that kind of relationship.
Keenan Allen will be pissed if
Yeah.
he will be pissed if he don't get the ball. Like, I don't care what Caleb is doing or
You're
how
right.
he's doing. If he don't just get opportunities to go out there and run routes, he will be pissed. I don't think
I,
I do look, and I'll get to my when I get to my best
yeah.
case scenario, that's when I'll really tell how I think our offense will flow this year. But what's up, Wes?
No, I was just because my whole thing is like I'm looking at the improvements of the rest of the team.
Yes, sir.
Now, if we want to get into what if the run game really winning, what if our defense ain't as good as it's supposed to be? Like if we want to get really into best and worst case as a team, I can see them Caleb being out there still slinging it. But if Caleb's not getting it and the rest of the team is, I can still see Keenan getting what he's supposed. Him and DJ racing to 1,000, but I can see a lot of those other receivers like probably not even being on the field. I can see them tight ends out there just blocking a lot because we running the ball a lot, and our running backs having some great seasons instead of our receivers. I don't think, and like I said, I didn't even bring in wins and losses in each scenarios because I just wanted to focus mainly on Caleb, to be honest, and the averages of it. But like I said, I gave that's the worst they could possibly do with Caleb. Like other than bench him, that's where my stats came from. Other than not
So
letting him
so you
play at
you,
all.
you gave out bust numbers. I
Yeah,
didn't
like
give
like
out
that's the
bust
worst.
numbers.
Like way, but like not even just bust. It's just like
Oh, that's bust.
if
That is
that's
bust.
bust. I'm not even going to use that word bust, but I'm just saying like this is the worst he could do, other than completely not playing anymore.
Mhm. But see, even with your bust numbers, 25 is what you have, 25 touchdowns and
Yeah, I gave him 25 and 9 because like I said, I think
that's better than this Trevor. I just told you Trevor Lawrence threw
yeah,
14 and 17,
14 and
13 and 7.
17.
That's not even a bust year. That's actually a
But I said like
pretty
that's what
good
I'm saying.
year.
Like I think he's a
I
little
mean,
bit
the yards were rough.
smarter. Yeah, yeah. The yards is what I know. Everybody gonna get the yards, and I'm just like I'm thinking of how many attempts per game, if we're running the ball, if we got a
Oh, for
short
sure.
field, all that kind of stuff. Like if our defense, if like I said, if we still can't get it right on defense, and we have to drive down the field every single time, and we getting bad field position on that, you have to throw your way out of that. And I'm not even talking about bubble screens. I'm just saying like just bringing the game to him really, really slowly.
Okay, look, and
But anyway, go ahead, finish. I want to hear your best. I want to hear your
my
ten
best.
thousand yards,
Okay, because I
ten
was about
thousand
to go
yards,
on another tangent
ten
because the
thousand yards,
whole bubble
108
screen thing is
touchdowns,
crazy.
-5 interceptions.
You sound like my brother. That is crazy. Do I give off that much love for Caleb and his
A
wild?
little
Because
bit, a little bit. It's
it's
Sometimes.
like, but I feel like every franchise drafting, who's picking number one overall, and you have a quarterback there that is a consensus really good quarterback. Let's not say generational, but I don't think any. Well, there are people. There's Bears fans the only fans who says Caleb Williams sucks in some way, shape, or form. I feel like
No.
everybody should be optimistic.
No, I would never. I'm not saying he suck. Like I said, I don't like a lot of people.
No, not all
I
Bears
also
fans. But I'm
think there are
saying,
other fans out there also think
yeah,
that.
I had a Packer fan
have,
say he think he gonna be Jamarcus Russell too. How when Joe Burrow came out, look, if these quarterback, if Caleb Williams is going to another team, I guarantee you, the view around him would be way different.
That's all I'm saying too.
Not even that. Even if we had say Tyson Bagent was our starter last year and not Justin Fields, people would have a totally different view on Caleb Williams replacing Tyson Bagent.
I mean, people still think
True.
Tyson
He's
Bagent
right.
should have been our starter. So
yeah, which
I've
is
never
insane.
I've never thought that. I
And
never thought that.
The
That was
people who think like the dude got a noodle arm.
Never preposterous.
Well, look, but let me
Who was running?
continue.
Go ahead, get your. I want to hear this.
get your point.
Can't wait to hear these.
My best case scenario. So my worst case scenario for yards was 3,000. My best case scenario for yards is only 3,500. That is comes out to 205 per game. That's 200 yards per game. 26 touchdowns. So that's an uptick from the 14 touchdowns I had for worst case scenario. 26 touchdowns. That's 1.5 per game. So that's almost 2 passing touchdowns per game. I think he can do that. And 10 interceptions. So 26 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, which is about 0.5 picks per game, half a pick per game. And I based that off the Russell Wilson rookie year. I think he does play a lot like Russell Wilson. So I think he played like Russell Wilson in college. How Russell Wilson plays in the NFL, that's how Caleb played in college. That's the way I looked at it. Let me get Russell Wilson's numbers real quick. Just bear with me. Y'all got any issues with that?
No, I'm very humbled. Actually, I want to say something.
I'm surprised. Too.
Right, I know I could come up with.
I thought for sure you were going to go with like
6,000 5,000 yards.
I thought you were at least going like 41.
This is crazy. Where's my respect? Like, sheesh.
Because and then on top of that, I thought you would look at
because I mean we were talking about like best case scenario, like something that would happen. Like
he's a rookie.
I don't know.
He is a rookie. One of the best rookie seasons I've seen was CJ Stroud, and then Joe Burrow was a dog before he tore his ACL.
I was going to bring up CJ Stroud. I was going to ask you what's CJ Stroud. Well, I mean, what's Cam? I was going to say Cam. Caleb Williams better than CJ Stroud. Do you think so?
I had something about the CJ Stroud
in college.
Too.
Yeah, from that college, from looking at the from college.
Oh yeah, Caleb Williams better. Mm-hmm. Caleb Williams would have been drafted over him last year, and Bryce Young for sure.
And you said 3,500, 25, 26 and
10.
And 10. And CJ Stroud, rookie year, he had 36, 41, and 6. That's what I'm surprised.
CJ Stroud was the best rookie season. That's an anomaly, not the norm. Let's just look at CJ Stroud like that. He had the best rookie season ever.
That's the part that
shot.
I don't think Caleb will have the best rookie season ever. What the?
Okay.
Okay. Now I see how y'all boys view me.
I thought you would have.
No,
I thought you would have. I even have that sitting right here.
The reason that I feel that you would be that way is all the different people that keep coming on to support Caleb Williams that I've been seeing. They consistently bring up CJ Stroud, saying we don't got to wait 3 years for development because of CJ Stroud. So then I've consistently asked them, and this has been happening for weeks now. Well, so then what would your opinion be if he doesn't achieve CJ Stroud's type of success? And none of them want to answer me. Nobody wants to answer me because I'm asking a legitimate question.
Right. And people like to use anomalies for their argument, not the norm, not the average, not the regular. You know what I mean? They like to use something that's just only one person ever did. Oh, well, he did it. Okay, who else? Who else threw for 4,000? What did you say Stroud had? Yeah, 4. I don't know.
36, 88, 41 touchdowns, and I think 6 interceptions.
Like, come on, man.
That's crazy.
I think Aaron Rodgers' best season, he threw 5 picks.
Wasn't he out at least a game?
Yeah, he was missed a game.
I could have sworn that Stroud was out at least a game.
Stroud season was an anomaly for sure. I'm not that narrow-minded. I'm definitely much.
No, I really just thought you would at least hit that closer to 4K, and I thought you was gonna at least give him 30 touchdowns.
Mm-mm.
Huh?
Because I know how the transition from from college to NFL is not the same. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And
yeah.
not only that, but and this is a team stat, but he also plays a role in it. They only won like 8 games last year. His Heisman year they didn't go to the playoffs. So it's like, come on, man.
No,
I'm not I'm not oblivious to how football works. The
I
fact
will
that y'all
say
thought I
it's
was is kind of, it hurt my feelings a little bit. It hurt my feelings a little bit.
no, I just thought you. I mean, really, I'm not even surprised. It's the touchdowns that got me.
What? The 26 and 10?
Yeah, I thought you at least would have given 30.
Okay, so yeah, let me keep going then. So I based the 26 and 10 off Russell Wilson's. And like I said, I looked, if I told you all the quarterbacks rookie seasons I looked at, it would, I could go on and on. But
Right.
Russell Wilson had yards, 3,100 yards, 26 and 10 exactly for his rookie season. And like I said, I view the way Caleb played in college is how Russell plays in the NFL. I don't know if Caleb will still continue to play that way when he gets to the NFL, but that's just the comparison I'm using. 26 and 10, 3,500 yards passing. And that's my best case scenario. And I think we can make the playoffs with that easily. Easily.
Of course. I mean, I've been sitting on a lot of people been telling me. I mean, we can get into the thing, but they've been just sitting, and I'm like, honestly, man, my gut telling me we take Caleb. Take Caleb. I don't see why we shouldn't win the North. You see what I put in the chat before we got on? He was like, "Is you ready?"
Mm-hmm,
I had to put my Jon Snow up there, man. That's how I'm feeling real Jon Snow like right now because
So
I'm
you
looking
seen the
at
whole Game of Thrones? You a Game of
yeah,
Thrones man?
yeah.
Yeah, yes, sir. It's probably
Um,
one of my favorite ever
I
hands down,
shows.
I
hands down.
think
Probably
that
one
I
of the best.
just need to watch the last season.
Oh, the last season. Okay, one of the
That's
ones
all.
that
Yeah.
people hate the most for some reason.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
loved it all
But
the
yeah,
way
like I said,
through.
I don't see why. And like a lot of people keep coming about Green Bay and all that kind of stuff. Why we don't beat Green Bay, I don't know. Honestly, I think it's a conspiracy to be honest with you because it makes no sense. It doesn't. No matter
I think
how,
it might
no
be a
matter.
mental thing at this point.
I don't even think it's a mental thing. We done had several different teams, several different players, but the result is always similar and the same. So, but like I said, I'm pretty sure Caleb's going to change that narrative too.
Jeremy Rodriguez says CJ needs to do what he did last year again next year to be considered legit. And I
No,
say the same thing about, you don't agree? I agree with
not
this.
the same thing. Close to it.
I mean,
You just
close
said it
to
was an
it,
anomaly season. It was an anomaly.
in you know what I mean? Good. Let's just say good.
Yeah, be
Be
good. Yeah,
good.
be good.
And
Yeah,
I look at that same thing for Jordan Love. I gotta see it again from Jordan Love. I
like I
gotta
said,
see because they were
I
they
agree.
were 9-8,
yeah,
but he balled out. He definitely balled out. I gotta see it
yeah.
again before I get on that Jordan Love hype train.
I don't know.
Um,
I'm not on it.
yeah,
But yeah, I
that's
like
my
it.
best and worst. If
I don't know, man.
y'all
I thought,
thought
I,
I was finna shoot for the moon, shoot for the
man,
motherfucking stars.
that trampoline, that spring was tight.
Ah, that's
And
crazy. That
hard.
is
I thought you was
crazy. I'm a reasonable person. I'm a
I thought,
reasonable
but
man.
I at least thought you was gonna do him better than CJ did last season. I mean, because I thought you was gonna use that
No,
as like, well, CJ got there, so I mean, he could do that, which he could do.
that's
He could do those
lazy.
numbers.
I thought
That's
you were going to
lazy
go with
work.
Andrew Luck.
He said that's lazy.
And Andrew, I didn't
That's
go with Andrew Luck because, like, I looked at Andrew Luck. I forget his numbers. I could pull it up real quick before we move on from this Caleb Williams quarterback conversation. Let
That's
me
just
just
because that's where I've heard a lot of comparisons from as far as being generational, comparing him to Andrew Luck. Not that I felt like he was some like Super Bowl all-time winning quarterback out there,
yeah,
but
and see, Andrew Luck had 4,300 yards, 23 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. The only way Caleb is getting 4,300 yards is if we neglect our run game. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening
true.
in any way, shape, or form. We almost gonna be run first his
I,
rookie year.
And that's why I kind of said if that's what we're gonna go with in the worst case scenario, I can see it being that really low in yards. We still
I
having
think it all
touchdowns.
depends on how things play out and like
Yeah,
training camps and stuff like that. There's a lot more we got to wait and see before
yeah,
we make
but
any decisions on how we're gonna approach each game.
yeah, and that's another thing I thought about too. Like depending on who we're going up against, I like our schedule. I actually looked at it really a lot. And that's why I said I think we're gonna win the North. We got the most home games, and three of the teams that we play are last in the division.
Although one of
I
our
think
home games, don't forget, one of our home games is played in London.
London. Hey, that might be a post game show. We might have to miss
Yeah,
that. That is early as fuck. That game kick off at like 8 a.m. I mean, we might be able to
Usually
get
like 9.
yeah,
okay.
9
I
in the
think
morning.
a couple of the games 9 in the morning.
Definitely
Yeah.
not doing a
It's nice
pregame
because
show.
those days you pretty much get football from like the morning when you wake up all the way until like the night
You
right
go to-
before you go to sleep.
yeah, that's true. But like I said, I like that. I like the schedule, man. I like it. I don't see. I see who we play, man, and I ain't scared.
Whoo, that Caleb conversation was very interactive. The chat
It
went
was.
crazy.
I did like. I'm surprised. I thought I was gonna, I wanted to be like I said. I wanted to be the bearer of bad news, which I was. But I thought you was gonna balance out my
You thought
complete
I
almost
yeah,
benching of Caleb Williams. That's what I was thinking. I was
right.
like, what could could I even justify him only throwing 200 yards in the season? Like, okay, like what's gonna be like the worst that he could like? No, no,
Mama
literally, like
Blues, I've
I'm a
been waiting to
blue.
see you show up. She said I missed it. Yeah, you just
Uh,
missed a great
yeah,
segment. We wrapping that segment up, putting a bow on it. It actually took longer than I thought but I mean,
I knew it
anytime we
was.
talk about
I knew it was. I knew it
I
anytime
was.
mean, we
we
ain't
had
ever gonna have a short
we, we,
life.
we had we had battles going on in the chat.
Right, we had to show up. We had to clear the court. We had to clear the benches. Trainers falling over people.
She
Uh,
said I'll rewatch for sure. Shout out to Mama
yeah.
Blues. I appreciate that. Definitely go back and check that out. We put out some numbers.
It was a good one.
It was definitely a good one.